420 and others. I'm also an associate member with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, national organization that's working towards the end of prohibition. Law enforcement officers, judges, everybody in the law enforcement division, or many of them are members that are now retired. There's still some available that are in the force, but you know, a lot of you guys got jobs and whatnot, and you keep that a little bit quieter. So that's a bit unfortunate. We need to speak up. We need to get out and vote, folks. It's really, really important. And talking about voting here, a few years ago, a friend of mine decided he was going to run against our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. Well, my wife, my friend, and myself were able to bring him, now he's running for the Green Party, for Federal Green Party. We brought him from 4th place to 3rd place, and we were within 200 votes of the Liberal. We were almost right below Stephen Harper. Now, if 200 other smokers or people that agree with us that don't consume would have come out, he'd have been number 2 in Stephen Harper's riding, our Prime Minister, no less. That was 3 people that pulled that off. So it don't take much. It don't take much. One person can do an awful lot. You're all very, very powerful. You might not believe it, but you can make a change. Currently, we've gone after the City of Calgary yet again. We're after them to sign on to the Vienna Declaration. Now, what that is to base drug policy on evidence and science and facts. Vancouver, Toronto, Victoria, and even Red Deer, Alberta, city councils have signed on to the Vienna Declaration.
Oh, I'm not sure.
We need to get Edmonton City Hall. We need to get those boys up here and girls up in the hill to do this too.
I didn't fucking see it.
It's not that hard, guys. Google Vienna Declaration. They provide a nice toolkit, makes it real easy to do. Print up a few pages, contact your City Hall officials with it, and you want them to sign. It's pretty hard to say no to evidence and science and facts, although they have been for many decades. The more we speak up, the better it's going to help us. The better it's going to help our communities. If we legalize cannabis today, actually repeal the prohibition of cannabis today, organized crime would lose 60% of their profits immediately.
Here, can you light that for me?
Now the funds that we save, we're currently spending over 70% in law enforcement of our budgets. We could save thousands, millions, and even billions eventually of dollars just by repealing cannabis prohibition alone. They know it up on the Hill, they know it, our MPs know it, our MLAs know it, our city officials know it. The truth is out there, it's easy to get, and it's easy to provide to these people. You need to stand up, you need to speak up. You don't have to be a consumer. We have many members across Alberta that are non-consumers. And not even strangely, that they're able to speak up more than your consumers. Because they can't come in and take their kids. They can't come in and take their jobs. And I understand that fear. I stayed hidden for many, many years. I worked with Normal, but I didn't stand up on a stage like this until the early 2000s. Now, I freely admit at these events, and I freely admit to the media and the police, I've been a cannabis consumer for over 4 decades. Yes, I started at a very young age, and as a matter of fact, alcohol was my drug of choice, and cannabis allowed me to walk away from my alcohol addiction forever. Now, cannabis can be used to help people get away from addictions. We know that. There's other substances as well in the plant world that we can use, but cannabis is quite effective for many people as a substitute, recreational drug, if you will. Personally, I don't believe there is such a thing as a recreational drug in cannabis. If you're under stress, school stress, work stress, family stress, you consume a little cannabis, you relieve that stress. Stress kills, right?
Yeah!
So, are you really recreational, or are you actually medicinal? You know, the recreational, even if it is a recreational drug, much safer than alcohol, we know that. The LD50, the lethal dose for cannabis is 50, LD50. That means 1,500 pounds of pot has to be consumed in 15 minutes to even come close to a chance of an OD. There's water intoxication that if you drink too much water too fast, it can kill you. It's not how much, it's how fast. So cannabis is safer than water. September 2012, the Special Senate Committee on Illegal Drug Study, this is a good quality government study, will be 10 years old. They said that we must repeal the prohibition of cannabis because the prohibition of cannabis is causing much more harm than the plant itself. It's a large document, it came through a lot of pages, and I tell you I can cite studies that date back to the late 1800s right up until now. And they've all said the prohibition of cannabis is wrong, to repeal the prohibition. The only way that's going to happen is if you stand up and speak up. That's why it hasn't happened yet. Not enough of us are telling the MLAs, the MPs, and our city officials, we want science. We want evidence in our drug policy. We want harm reduction, and we're going to demand it in mass. Once you do that, you're going to start to see the politicians change their mind, change their tunes. Ryan mentioned there is a vote here on May 20, or pardon me, on the 23rd here on Monday.
Stand your ground.
You must get out and vote. It is real important. It takes 15 minutes, guys, at best. At best. You think your vote doesn't count? Well, what did I just tell you about Debbie, myself, and another fellow in the Green Party? That was a huge accomplishment for 3 people. 1, 2, 3, a dozen. The more of us that stand up and speak up, the sooner we're going to get legalization. Lastly, folks, I don't want to bore you too much. I really enjoy these events. I do want to remind you all that the Global Marijuana March happens every year around the world. It's the first Saturday of every May. The 8th annual Global Marijuana March will be going down in Calgary. And I tell you, in the early days, they threatened me with police, they threatened me with tickets, I was going to jail. They're not going to allow this to happen in our fine city, according to them. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms trumps their nonsense, trumps all the bylaws they brought in later to try to stop me. They gave me a ticket, I took it to court, got it tossed out, and now they work with me. Now we have our event every year. We have amplified music and speakers like you do now, and that's what I'd like to see for Edmonton. Everybody come out here, first Saturday of May, and gather for the Global Marijuana March, folks.
7 minutes. 7 minutes till 4:20.
7 minutes to 4:20. We're getting close to the countdown, folks. I think I've said more than enough. Again, tell the people, evidence, science, facts. It's not your opinion. You have science, you have evidence, you have facts. Listen to it. Help us with harm reduction. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Sure I will. That's one quick thing, folks. Usually, I don't consume in public. Usually, I'll stand up at the events, especially our Global March, and I'll tell them I will not consume in public because I am a responsible